Real ID. What is it? When is it effective? And why do you need it? Let's talk about it. Hey, it's Kisha with Keep It Plain Travel. And unless you have not been on the internet or the social medias at all, you may have heard about this Real ID that's coming into effect May 7th, 2025. So I'm going to give you a quick summary of what it is, why you need it, and who needs it. So the Real ID is come forth based on the Real ID Act of 2005. And basically, it is a security standard that the government is taking across all states in the US, in the 5 territories, in DC, of course. So what that means is if you plan on flying on a commercial aircraft or entering certain federal buildings that will require identification, you need to be Real ID compliant. So that means your driver's license or identification card, and I'll just say ID card so I don't have to keep continuing to differentiate between both. So your identification card has to be Real ID compliant. So that means it needs to have a star in the corner. It needs to have a flag, or it needs to have been an enhanced driver's license. Currently, only a few states, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, and there's another one, sorry, that issue enhanced driver's license. So if you have a driver's license in one of those states, then they are saying it's okay for that to be considered Real ID compliant. But if you stay in any other state and you plan on boarding that commercial aircraft or enter certain federal buildings that require identification, your ID card needs to have that star. So even if you have renewed your driver's license within the last year or so, it doesn't automatically have that Real ID marker in the top right. Now, there was a point in time where maybe a couple years ago when there was word of this Real ID requirement coming into effect, and they postponed it multiple times, especially during the pandemic, that if you reissued your identification card, that they kind of made it Real ID compliant, because I know people that already have that star, they never paid extra. They weren't even aware that it was compliant. But now, and I'm not sure how far back this goes, if you want to renew your driver's license or make it Real ID compliant, you have to apply for that separately. So maybe you were about to renew your driver's license or ID card recently, and they would have sent you the renewal letter saying, hey, to renew as is, do this. And if you want to make it Real ID compliant, you had to do some other things because they require certain verification, full name, address or security number, date of birth, and proof of address and citizenship and things of that sort. So they required a little something extra for that. So what does this mean? If you look at your driver's license or ID card and it does not have that, again, star, a flag, or it does not say enhanced driver's license, you may want to go and get your Real ID before May 7th. Now, if you have a passport or a passport card or a veteran's health identification card or a like a global entry card, you can use that to travel domestically or enter federal buildings. But I don't know about you. If I'm not traveling internationally, I do not want to bring my passport. I like to keep my passport in a safe space because obviously it is more expensive to renew or to replace a lost or damaged passport or passport card than it is a driver's license or ID. So again, You want to renew or get a compliant ID before May 7th. Your driver's license or ID does not have to be expiring to make it Real ID compliant. You just need to kind of like switch it over, but they will require that additional verification in order to do that. Again, it is a security standard that they're taking across all states. No, they're not putting your information in a database and keeping it. Each state is going to monitor this information separately. But again, when you go to the airport and you're trying to get through security and you're traveling in the States, they're going to look for that Real ID compliancy. And if you do not have it, you won't be able to board. Now, they don't really have a list of the federal buildings that are going to be requiring the Real ID, but for the most part, it's the buildings that would require an ID normally for you to get into. And of course, each federal building can require their own standards as to what's needed to enter. But Social Security buildings, maybe a Veteran Affairs building, maybe certain other federal buildings that you may need to go into. You just want to be prepared. So you don't want to be stuck somewhere and you can't enter because you waited. Now, May 7th is coming soon. So I would not wait to the last minute to apply for the Real ID driver's license or identification. I would do that as soon as possible. So you have maybe 30 or so days. You know, everybody's going to be last minute. We're trying to get that done. So there may be some delays at the DMV, things of that sort. So you kind of want to prepare now. So again, if you want to use your passport card when you travel domestically in the US, feel free. But you don't want to chance damaging or losing that because it costs more to replace that than a regular identification card or driver's license. So again, if you're flying or entering federal buildings, let's get Real ID compliant. If you're under 18, you don't need to be Real ID compliant. But if you have a driver's license or something like that, it may be something you want to consider. And again, you want to do it sooner rather than later so you won't be caught up in the rush of people that are going to be trying to get Real ID compliant in your state. And always visit your Department of Motor Vehicles in your state or the government website to learn more about Real ID compliancy. I'll link it. I'll mention it below, but it is dhs.gov/real-ID. So just make sure you're getting your information from the appropriate source and let's get Real ID compliant so we won't have any issues traveling near or far. And it's simple, plain and simple.